If you look up how to pay off debt, the main ways you see is the debt snowball and debt avalanche. Those methods are great, but for some women, it could be keeping them trapped in a cycle of avoidance and burnout. The truth is, the best debt payoff strategy is the one that gives you mental peace and that you stick to. Today, we're going to look into why breaking away from the standard debt payoff advice can be the smartest move you can make to reclaim your energy and your wealth. In this video, I'll show you why making good money while carrying debt feels so isolating, how to look beyond the standard strategies to choose a customized payoff plan that actually makes you feel good, and a step-by-step action plan to safely stop money leaks so you can make your financial decisions with confidence. You know, there's a funny piece of research that says that 1 out of 3 people would rather deep clean their entire bathroom from top to bottom rather than log in and look at their accounts. And why am I laughing about it? When you think about it, it makes sense. When you cross into earning a great income, everyone kind of automatically assumes that your personal finances are figured out. And because of that pressure, professional women often carry their debt in total secret and shame. You feel like you can't complain, you can't ask for help, and that intense pressure triggers a natural response to protect yourself from that stress by simply avoiding the numbers altogether. In fact, about 40% of high earners actively stop checking their bank balances to keep their anxiety down. But here's the thing. It's not necessary to stare at your bank account every day. But if you're avoiding looking at them, your daily spending automatically becomes unpredictable. You start guessing what's in the account, which makes the financial strain significantly worse. So the first step in fixing this is figuring out your starting line. It's time to pull your head out of the sand and face your debt head on. So to establish that starting line, you're gonna sit down and write down every single balance, their interest rates, and their minimum payment amounts. Now, while this might sound like it could cause some panic, for most people, it brings instant relief because their debt is usually not as large as they had it jumped up in their head. But even if you did look at those numbers and they were high or maybe even higher than you expected, you finally know what you're dealing with. When you decide it's time to tackle this debt, you usually hear about the debt snowball or debt avalanche. The debt snowball is when you pay your balances from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate or minimum payment. This helps you get quick wins because you're gonna knock out that smallest debt, really get you revved up to paying off the next one. The second is the debt avalanche, where you tackle the highest interest rates first, saving you more money in the long run. These are great strategies that work for a ton of people, but they're not the only strategies out there. Personal finance is personal for a reason. So sometimes these standard strategies are not the ones that you need to stick with. The best strategy is always gonna be the one that you can stick to and feel good about. That's why you're allowed to break the rules and customize this. If you list out your debts and one specific debt stands out because it makes you feel angry, guilty, or completely drained, it's completely rational to pay that one off first. This path can be referred to as a Debbie Downer strategy. Knocking out that account can be a valid way to reclaiming your mental energy and protect your peace. Another path you could take is focusing on the highest payments. So you look at the monthly minimum and you target the bill that demands the most cash from you every month. Once that monthly obligation is wiped out, you instantly free up a huge chunk of cash flow. Suddenly, you have real breathing room in your budget, which can give you the momentum to keep going. So regardless of which strategy you choose, there's always a debt of focus where you're putting all your extra money towards while you're making minimum payments on all the rest of your debts. When you're trying to manage a demanding life, family, career, things like juggling your credit cards, your bank balances, they don't just put a weight on your bank account. They're a mental drain as well. Every single balance you owe acts like an app running in the background of your mind. It creates constant subconscious worry that hums along while you're focusing on your work, your family, or just trying to get some rest. Interesting data from behavioral scientists show that this background stress actively wears down on your mental capacity. Juggling all those numbers narrows your focus exclusively to short-term survival. It makes it very difficult to think about long-term wealth planning because your brain is just trying to make it to the next due date. What's fascinating is that our brain processes the number of debts we have open more so than the total balance. Research shows that when people completely clear a single account, they experience a massive drop in daily anxiety. In fact, paying off one account in full is much more rewarding and far more powerful for your peace than spreading your money apart and giving a little bit extra to all your debts. To ease that mental fatigue, it might be helpful to streamline your cash flow and get those number of debts down. One practical option is to pull all these high interest debts into one place. If you have solid credit, You can look into a low-rate personal loan, interest balance transfer card. Doing this collapses the multiple due dates and different interest rates into one single predictable monthly payment. But for this strategy to work, you have to listen to this very important thing, okay? Moving your balances to a personal loan or to a balance transfer is a tool to help simplify the math and gives you breathing room. It does not solve whatever caused you to go into debt in the first place. So this only works if you have a clear, solid plan for staying out of debt going forward. If you clear out those debts, because technically the debt is still there, right? You're using a loan or a credit card, but don't change those underlying habits. Those empty credit cards that you cleared out can be temptation just to run them up again. And that leaves you in a much worse position down the road. I've been there. So make sure you have that plan in place first before taking on these kind of strategies. Now, while you're working to pay off your debt, it's very easy to fall into deprivation. You tell yourself that I'm not allowed to spend anything. I can't go out to eat, I can't travel, I can't do anything until I pay off all my debts. But pushing yourself that hard almost always backfires. When you cut all the things out that bring you joy, you leave your nervous system feeling burnt out and running on empty. So your brain starts to treat those goals as a threat. And eventually, you snap. And this is how some people wind up in a cycle of extreme deprivation and then high spending. So the goal here is not to come up with this perfect plan where you're doing the things right every single day. Because you're in debt, you're not going to spend a single dollar on anything that's not important until you're out of debt. No, we want you to have a plan that works. So to break that cycle and to rebuild trust in yourself, you need to create some guardrails. The first one is my favorite, is creating a dedicated sinking fund for whatever you'd like. This is going to be a separate savings account where it's like an allowance to do things every single month, like getting a massage, a nice dinner out, or just something that makes your day easier. This money is yours to do whatever you'd like without tracking or second guessing. As long as it's in that account, it's for you to spend. This lets your brain know that you're safe, you're taken care of, and you do not need to live in survival mode just because you have financial goals. The second guardrail is to prevent lifestyle creep. Whenever you get a salary increase, or maybe a bonus at work, or your tax refund, it's natural for you to want to upgrade your life, and I'm not here to make you feel guilty about that. But instead of feeling guilty or doing the opposite, which is like throwing all the money at your financial goals, split it. You can direct 50% of that money towards saving, investment, debt, whatever your goal is at the time, and 50% of that money towards something fun. But you want to make that decision before the money hits your bank account. This allows you to enjoy your hard work and celebrate your professional success while still building long-term security for tomorrow. Once these plan structures are in place, long-term consistency with your finances require a calm body, not just a perfect spreadsheet. Your typical budgeting advice kind of assumes that you're looking at money logically, taking out the emotion. But that's not how our brains are wired. When you're carrying heavy financial stress, your brain's planning center goes offline. This triggers a state of survival mode where your focus narrows entirely to the short term, making it impossible to make logical, calm decisions about your long-term wealth. This could feel like a really intense physical response where just even logging into your bank account causes your heart to race, chest to tighten, or maybe it makes you nauseous. To break through that physical block, you can use a physical action to prepare and calm your body before you sit down to look at the bank statement that stresses you. This will signal your body to feel safe before you're looking at the numbers. So a simple way you could do this is establish something like Wednesday walks. Instead of forcing yourself to stare at a phone or computer while your anxiety spikes, you get up, go outside, and move your body while looking at one of these statements on your phone. If you do have to log in at a desk for whatever reason, try to take 3 slow, deliberate breaths before touching the keyboard. These small physical routines help disconnect the act of looking at your money from your body's old stress triggers, making it safe for you to build your wealth with confidence. If you've been feeling stuck, managing all these different numbers while your anxiety keeps rising, you do not have to white knuckle this alone. To help you put all these pieces together, to help you knock out that debt, I created a 5-day challenge called Journey to Zero. This challenge is designed to help you take complete control of your debt without the overwhelm. Over the 5 days, you'll be guided through mapping out your exact debt payoff date, choosing the repayment strategy that fits you best, and start clearing out those balances faster. It also comes with a bank negotiation script that helps you lower your interest rates and a custom debt payoff spreadsheet so you can track your progress and watch those debts whittle down to zero. You can click right here or the first link in the description to join the challenge and start your journey to zero today.